anyway. It's one of the topics which I teach in a module called Organized and International Crime. So hopefully you enjoy the talk and get the idea of roughly how lectures work at University of Huddersfield. So anyway, hopefully you can see my slides. Can you confirm that you can see the slides fine, that there's a presentation on your screen? Is everything looking good? It is wonderful. So, as it says on the title, it's about blood diamonds, or well, any blood gemstones or gemstones which have blood on them. And you might say, well, why do gemstones have blood on them in the first place? Surely gemstones are just these nice, pretty little things. Many of you probably have gemstones on you right now, or back at home, or anywhere. Your engagement rings, your earrings, your piercings, whatever else you have, it probably has some gemstones on them. So you might say, how's that connected to crime, to criminology in general? Surely it's just trinkets which you buy in a local jewelry store. Well, not always. So let's start with some pictures. We will have a lot of pictures and kind of little infographics here. So what do we think that is? Well, obviously, given I'm speaking about diamonds, that's a diamond mine. That's the second biggest diamond mine in the world. It's really far up in Russia, in Siberia. It's, as you can tell, really big. As you can see, all the little houses and, well, roads and everything. That's a really big diamond mine. And that's where the problem starts. To get a lot of diamonds, you need to have big mines. If you're going to have small mines, you're going to have very few diamonds. And they're quite deep in as well. So diamonds don't just form close to the surface. Diamonds are basically, well, it's carbon, which was lucky enough to become diamond. The stuff in your pencils, don't have a pencil around you, but you know what a pencil looks like. The stuff inside of a pencil, still carbon. Most of you is carbon. Most of any food you consume is carbon. Most of things around us are made of carbon. But some of it was trapped in the correct place in the correct temperature and became a diamond. And then at some point we decided that diamonds are expensive and valuable. As I said, if you want a lot of good diamonds, you need a lot of very big quality mines. And to do that, you need good machinery. That's machinery from a large diamond mine, and as you can see, it looks something out of a sci-fi movie, like some weird space robot or something. And if it looks that way, it probably costs a lot of money. So one of those can cost up to $300,000. If you translate that into pounds, well, 250,000 pounds. But still a lot of money, so $250,000. And it does the job really well. The digging, the getting rid of all of the unnecessary soil, mostly rock. Really, it's not soft soil, is it? It's rock. It does the job really well, but it costs a quarter of a mil. And you don't really just need one. You need more than one. You need a lot of them. Which is fine if you have the money for that. If you're a big country with a lot of money, which you're happy to invest in your gemstone industry, then you buy these, you make some really big mines, and things go okay. You sell the diamonds, you get the cash back, and things work out. But what about the countries which don't have those resources? Well, they have humans. Sometimes voluntary humans who are paid to do the digging with spades and their hands and so on. And sometimes it's all okay, and sometimes not so voluntary. So quite often when we speak about gemstone mines, especially in a number of sub-Saharan African countries, as well as Southeast Asia, we're not really speaking about people who chose to be there. So in here, yeah, it looks as if they are, well, working. There's a fair few digging, there's a fair few standing around, there's a fair few chilling. That's a relatively relaxed environment. But then I show you this picture, and you might say, yeah, but that's just a photo. Surely that's just somebody's kid who came over and held a spade, right? Right? No, not right. Unfortunately, kids as young as 4 do the digging, Kids as young as 6 do the polishing. Yeah, those are the numbers I just said, 4 and 6. Remember yourself when you were 4? Well, no, you probably don't, because you were 4. Right? So, and here the problem is that we're speaking about the age where it's barely possible to have some recognition of yourself or your abilities or how the world works around you, let alone be digging for gemstones, be digging rock, be holding spades and working with whatever machinery. Well, probably not so much machinery, but dangerous stuff which you got to work with in there. So digging as young as 4, polishing as young as 6. You might remember yourself when you were 6 years old. That's still not that much. Not that much. And what does that really mean? Well, it comes with all of its issues. I mean, one, obviously, they're not there by choice. No 4-year-old has ever said, give me a spade, let me mine some diamonds for you, right? Not a thing. Well, many of them don't speak, so, because they're 4. So why are they there? Because their parents were enslaved, because their parents were prisoners, and in a lot of countries, your kids have to sort of co-serve the prison sentence with you. So if you go to North Korea doesn't really have diamonds. I'm sure they would be doing this if they had. But in North Korea, if you commit a crime, your parents and your kids have to go to prison. In a lot of other countries, well, your family just sort of have to work off your debt to whoever's enslaved you or imprisoned you. So the kids have to work in diamond mines with their parents, obviously in absolutely inhuman conditions. And what's the life expectancy for somebody who's digging at 4? Their life expectancy is usually not more than 12, sometimes 15, and that's really, really pushing it. So they will be dead before they reach adulthood. Way before. Most of them will be dead in a couple of years. And that sounds horrible, because it is. Why does that happen? Because your body, when you're 4, isn't designed to be digging diamonds and working 12, 14-hour shifts. You're supposed to be sleeping, learning stuff, eating stuff, discovering the world, really, and certainly not doing too much physical exercise. No, some is okay, but I don't think digging rock is what 4-year-olds are supposed to do. So we are speaking here exactly about that, how a gemstone in your ring or earring or anything else could be a result of a 4-year-old digging it up or a 6-year-old polishing it with some dangerous machinery, which we will also look at. How is that even possible? And I guess the first point to really take away from that, you didn't think about that before, did you? None of you ever looked at a diamond ring or any other gemstone and thought, 4-year-olds digging it up. Because it's not an issue we speak about. I mean, a lot of international and organized crime, the problem really is that we don't speak about these things because they're far away. And when things are far away, we don't really care enough. We will speak about little things close by. We will speak about the smallest infringements on our freedom in here, but then you got 4-year-olds mining diamonds and it's okay because it's far away. But how far away is it? Well, largest diamond exporters, there's your list on the screen. So you start with the main one, which is Russia, and Russia has a lot of money. So Russia invests in the machinery, it doesn't need to have 4-year-olds mining for it. Plus, Russian diamonds are really deep down in the ground, so there isn't a spade that can go that far anyway. But then, of course, you have quite a lot of countries on the list which are not exactly known for the amount of money they have. You got Botswana, you got Congo, you got Zimbabwe, and well, Indonesia kind of half and half. There's parts of Indonesia which are very rich, and then there's parts which are not. But basically, out of the list, Russia has money, Australia has money, Canada has money, US has money. The other countries, besides for Indonesia a little bit, not so much money. So what are the problems associated with that? Well, exactly what we said. Not everybody who's in the mines is there voluntarily. If they are, they're barely getting paid. If they're not there voluntarily, they're not getting paid at all, and that's called slavery. If they're a kid, that's called child labor or child slavery, which comes with its own key problems because those kids don't really survive past the age of 12 usually. the money from that very often goes on some truly horrendous causes, including genocides, ethnic cleansing. We will look at one of those cases as well. Enforcement of severely problematic regimes like that in Burma, which is exactly the case we will look at. And, well, it's slavery. We thought we abandoned that, didn't we? Like about 200 years ago? Clearly not. We still have that very, very much. So, how far is it? Again, let's say there's a 4-year-old mining diamonds with a little spade, well, with a big spade, because little spades don't do the work, in Botswana. And where's Botswana? Like, if I gave you a map, do you know where Botswana is? I mean, somewhere in Africa, yeah, but that's kind of the point. We don't even know where it is. Sorting is usually in Saudi Arabia, which is not exactly known for great human rights enforcement. Polishing and sorting, well, mostly polishing really, and sorting by size goes on in India, and we will see how that looks in a second, which is far away. It's not next to UK. Then it's made into jewelry in China, which again, not exactly known for great human rights. Sweatshops working 16 or 20-hour shifts. That's exactly what we're speaking about. And then it's with us, and it just looks nice and pretty, and there's no dead children around it. So when we see it, it's already nice and fluffy. It's just unicorns and rainbows. So here's a map. And if you look at the bottom side, I don't know if you can see my arrow, but I hope that you do. So here's where's Botswana. So the very, very bottom part of Africa, yeah? Key point, far away from us, because we're here. Sorting Saudi Arabia, pretty far from us. India, pretty far from us. China, very far from us. It's far from us. And if it's far, we might as well ignore it. We shouldn't, but that's the perception. It's far enough for us to pretend it doesn't exist. Little video. I'm going to turn off the sound because you don't really need the sound. I mean, let's see if you can hear the first moment anyway. So all she's saying is that they're as young as 6 years old and they are doing all the polishing and sorting. As you can see, they certainly don't look very old. Well, they're certainly not adult, are they? And that's in India. That's your typical diamond polishing slash sorting by size kind of little place. All those sticks are jade, so jade usually comes in long little shards, and they're polishing it until it looks good. So certainly this fellow on the screen right here, I don't think he should be doing that. I think he should be in kindergarten, not even in school. The conditions, well, you can judge it for yourself, not exactly the conditions you want to be at. A lot of machinery, which, if you're 6, you like sticking fingers and stuff, and you like tasting stuff, and you like, you know, doing things which 6-year-olds do. I don't think heavy machinery is a top choice for 6-year-olds, but anyway, you get the idea. So why is that happening, and why do we need all these diamonds? Why are we risking kids' lives? Because surely we can agree that making kids die for diamonds sounds like a pretty bad deal. Why are we doing this? Well, what are really diamonds good for? There's only a couple things where you really need diamonds. Diamonds aren't a thing you need. Diamonds are a thing you want. And those are, if you want to saw glass, if you want to drill glass, you need diamonds. But here's a trick. We can grow diamonds. We can grow lab-grown diamonds, which do that. We don't need to dig them up. Lab-grown diamonds are very cheap. They're not as pretty as the dug-up diamonds because they're not as shiny and stuff like that, but they're cheap, and you can drill glass with them. I don't think it matters how pretty is the diamond you use to drill glass with. A little bit of diamonds is necessary in medical technology, so especially to do with eye surgeries. Sometimes they need a specific way of light refraction in their technology, so they need diamonds to do the laser treatments. Again, doesn't have to be dug up, doesn't have to be a natural diamond, it can be a lab-grown diamond. Lab-grown diamond takes about 2 months to grow. Very simple, very straightforward, very cheap too. So the rest is really to make your Instagram pictures look great, right? So fancy pictures for social media, status symbol. I have diamonds, so I matter more as a person. I don't know how that works. I don't really associate person's wealth with their importance or value personally, but each to their own, I guess. But if you do follow kind of, TikToks and all of that, there's a lot of people sort of specifically bragging, are my diamonds real? Is it real ice? Is it not real ice? Well, it might be real ice, but does that make them a better person? I don't know. Personally, not so convinced. But anyway, so the diamonds aren't really something you need. There's something you want, there's something you like, there's something that's fun to have, but that's where it ends. And the problems are, of course, that thankfully for you, the diamonds which you probably have don't have that value to them with the kids digging them up and polishing. And you might say, why? But I have diamonds. Well, because the diamonds in your local jewelry store are kind of an equivalent of pound shop if you were trading in diamonds. The diamonds you get in your local jewelry store down the high street, that's the lowest quality, crappiest, least valuable diamonds you're ever going to have. The good stuff is in black markets. The good stuff is on the dark web. The good stuff, meaning the illegal stuff. The stuff you get, like, if you spend 500 quid on an engagement ring, it's probably not a big deal. It's probably not from the cases which we are discussing. But of course, people who are interested in big, real expensive gemstones, they're not buying it in the jewelry store, are they? So let's move to Burma. Where's Burma? Well, it's also called Myanmar, and it's sort of next to Thailand, next to Bangladesh, roughly there. So Southeast Asia, you could say. And why are we in Burma? Well, because Burma is one of the best examples you can have for this particular problem. So one, there's over 100,000 people who are political prisoners in Burma. Political prisoners, not just prisoners, because of their very specific regime, which they have. And they're exiled to mines. So instead of being in prisons, which usually when you have prisoners, you stick them in prisons, hence they're called prisoners, they make them work in diamond mines, in ruby mines mostly, ruby and jade. Burma is known mostly for ruby and jade. And Burma is in particular known for pigeon's blood rubies. It's a very, very red, very vibrant, very pretty, not gonna argue about that, type of ruby, which goes for extreme amounts of money. They're completely banned to be traded in, so there's a lot of legislation. I only have two here on the screen, the Jade Act of 2008 and the Clean Diamond Trade Act, both of which basically say Burma doesn't get to trade its pigeon's blood rubies, doesn't get to trade them, can't do it. So Jade Act of 2008 basically says that. Clean Diamond Trade Act says if you want to trade in diamonds and rubies and other gemstones, you got to be signed up to this act, which Burma isn't signed up to it because enslaving your prison population isn't on the permitted actions list of that act. So 100,000 people exiled to mines, political prisoners, clearly a big problem, run by the military, run by the government. It's all very clear, but they're all banned. So what do we see here? This is a facility with the big stones which have the pigeon's blood ruby inclusions within them. And it's not 20 of them, and it's not 50, and it's not 500 of them. It's an entire field of rocks which have ruby inclusions in them. So clearly they are getting them for something. I mean, if they weren't really able to trade in them, why would they be still doing it, right? If you can't trade in it, then you can't. If your store is closed, then you no longer bake cakes for your store. Clearly they're still baking cakes, or in this case, mining rubies. Right? So there must be able to sell them somehow. And this is how these trades look like on the black market. Now, none of us will ever be able to afford one of these boxes. So I guess that's good news for us, or bad news, depends how you look at it. But when you speak about pigeon's blood rubies or illegal ruby trade or illegal diamond trade, we're not speaking about little rings with one stone in them, which we obsess about. We're speaking about hundreds or thousands, nicely sorted, nicely polished. And all of this has absolutely massive value to it. So we're not speaking here hundreds of thousands. We're speaking well into 6 or 7 digits in a lot of cases, because here's one of them. Pigeon's Blood Ruby sold for 30 million. And yes, 25 carats is a lot of carats. Could feed a whole field of rabbits with that. But it's a big Pigeon's Blood Ruby. That's how they look like. They're very pink. They're very red. They're very kind of vibrant and pretty. Yes, sure. But 30 million. 30 million for one gemstone. Of course, people are going to trade in it. When has a law really stopped us from trading in something? Drugs are illegal, right? You can get them on every street corner. Bootleg alcohol is illegal. A lot of people are still making moonshine. Counterfeit goods are illegal. You go to any market, you will find Nikes for 20 quid, which fall apart the moment you put them on your leg. Things being illegal hasn't really stopped anything from ever happening. So, yeah, sure, they're banned, but they're also very pretty. We really like shiny things. They're very expensive, and we're going to keep buying them. And they're going to keep selling them because we are buying them, right? So, yeah, I guess key point to take away, it doesn't matter if you ban something illegally. Burma is the key producer of Pigeon's Blood Rubies. They're very pretty. They're very red. We really like them. Only other place which ever had them was Russia. Doesn't really have them anymore. The mine's exhausted. There's nothing else to find in that mine for about 2 decades now. Game's over. Burma is the only place with more new Pigeon's Blood Rubies. And of course, people are going to be buying them. So where are people going to be buying them? Well, key black market places for gemstones are, well, firstly, dark web. So if you know what dark web is, you will understand. You can go on there and take a look how much an assassin costs, how much a nuclear weapon costs, how much a little bit of uranium costs, how much gemstones cost. You know, dark web is that kind of place. But of course, also more generally in tourist destinations, mostly Bangkok, Dubai, and Jakarta. So you might think, well, why specifically those ones? Because tourists which go to those places are particular kind of tourists. You don't go to Thailand to look at amazing architecture. You go to Rome. Sure, Rome has great architecture and historical buildings. You go to Thailand because you want to buy a ladyboy for the night, right? You don't go to Indonesia because Jakarta is in Indonesia, because, you know, you go there to do drugs, basically, because it's Indonesia. The tourist destinations, which are for the more naughty tourists, basically, are very, very great places for black market gemstones, because people who already go there, one, are a bit naughty in the first place, and if they're happy doing other stuff, buying an illegal gemstone doesn't even sound very dangerous, does it? Two, they got money with them, which they're ready to spend. It costs a lot of cash to go to Thailand or Dubai or Indonesia. It's far away. It's an expensive destination. And who wouldn't like a shiny thing with them, right? Okay, so that's there. Let's move closer. Final thing which we got to discuss. So how does that actually work with us right here? Well, let's move to your local airport. Have you ever flown anywhere? If you have, you will probably remember that when you were in security queue, somebody was stopped for random checks, which are never random. I always get stopped because I'm 6'4" and I look like I'm carrying whatever, drugs, cigarettes. I don't know what they think I'm carrying because I'm not, but I always get stopped for a random check, which is fine. I'm used to that. But anyway, not everybody gets that random check. A lot of people don't get that random check. And of course, if you're going to find illegal diamonds on somebody, you really got to work real hard to find them. Why? Because it's really so easy to take them over the borders, even on a plane. There's less restricted methods of travel. I mean, if you really want to make it easy, go by a ship or something like that. But even in an airport, so diamonds don't smell. A dog isn't going to pick up the smell. They're not metallic. You can't scan for them. You know, metal detector isn't going to pick them up. They're really small. You're going to pat a person down. If they're not like, you know, full on carrying a diamond of that size, which probably they aren't, then you're not going to really feel it on them if they just have it in their pocket. And at the end of the day, you can carry a rough diamond. Rough diamonds look like quartz, really. They just look like a bit of glass, a bit of dirty glass at that, which nobody really will suspect much of it anyway. And where do people carry them? Well, anywhere. Just stick them in your pocket. Who's gonna know? It's a shard of glass if it's a rough diamond. In plain sight. Have you ever been to like Topshop or Primark or, you know, one of those places where they sell these really big, bulky and very low quality, obviously, looking necklaces? Well, what was done quite often to smuggle a lot of the big gemstones around the world, they bought a very cheap setting, which clearly was fake. So, you know, 10 pounds worth of golden necklace. They would remove the fake stone from it and they would stick a real stone in the middle. Who's going to suspect that that's a real gemstone when you got a 10-pound worth of horrendous necklace on your neck, right? You're just going to go through an airport. Everybody's going to look at you, and some people will think, what a horrible choice of necklace because it looks awful. That's all it's going to be. And you're actually carrying on your necklace like 30 mil or 20 mil or even 1 mil. 1 mil's still pretty good. I'd take 1 mil today if somebody was giving me. So what I'm getting at is plain sight as jewelry. You grab one of those, you stick a gemstone in there, no one suspects. You can swallow them. You can stick them in your hair. You can put them in your shoes, under your weave if you have one. You can sew them into the seams of your clothes if they're not very big. A big shipment of diamonds was carried over the border in scatter crystal bags. So basically, they were shipping scatter crystals, and some of them had some diamonds mixed in with scatter crystals. How are you going to tell? There's literally millions of little scatter crystals, which look like gemstones, and some of them are actual gemstones. And it's very easy to find them after. You just melt it. You put it on a tray, you melt the scatter crystals because they're plastic. All you're left with are diamonds. Great. Success. The options are really, really never ending. And, you know, you got some examples here on the screen. I won't read them out because we're running out of time anyway, I know. But we got some examples here where somebody had horrible diarrhea after swallowing 220 diamonds. I mean, not much of a surprise. So they had to poop them out in the middle of an airport. Somebody was stuffing gold biscuits up their bum, and apparently they were told to squat and the biscuits fell out, which must have been fun. But yeah, people do sometimes get caught, but what I'm saying is it's quite easy not to be caught. Diamonds are small, they're undetectable, and they cost a lot of money. So final couple slides, final points to take home from that. Why would they do that? Well, because you can transfer a lot of money from one country to another without any taxes. You are probably too young to worry about taxes, which is great. Enjoy those last few years of your life, of your peaceful life without taxes. But when you do, you'll realize that everything we have usually has some taxes attached to it. You want to transfer a lot of money from one country to another, you got to declare it. You probably have to prove where it's coming from. And if it's illegal gemstones, you probably can't because illegal, right? So let's say you have a super dodgy business in, I don't know, let's take that very Indonesia, because Indonesia is really good at this stuff. You have a dodgy business in Indonesia. You have a set of brothels, human trafficking, I don't know, you choose, right? So illegal stuff. And you make a lot of money out of it because a lot of organized business makes a lot of money. Let's say you have 20 mil and you want to stop doing all of that and come to the west of the world and live your life in USA, for example. I don't know, 20 mil is enough to buy a 1-bedroom flat in USA, I guess. So what do? Instead of trying to prove where all that money came from or having to do money laundering, which is relatively straightforward, but you have to have the connections to do it well, You transfer that money into gemstones, which you buy there very, very cheaply. You just go to US, because who's gonna know? No one's gonna know. And you sell them when you're here. Great. Success. You sell them on dark web if you like. You sell them on a black market if you like. Nobody knows you got the money. You can live your life as you would like to do. And kind of the reason, isn't it? So I guess to summarize everything that I was saying, a lot of gemstones have a lot of blood on them. We might not think so, but it's true. It's associated with child slavery. It's associated with a lot of deaths at work, with horrible working conditions and everything that goes with what we've discussed. Preventing this is extremely difficult. The laws don't work. It's already illegal. Burma is not allowed to trade in pigeon's blood rubies, but it still does, because laws don't really work when a lot of money is involved. Detecting them on borders to prevent smuggling is nearly impossible. We're kind of stuck with this issue. It's not really solvable, honestly. They're trying to invent good scanners for airports to scan for gemstones. But again, they're going to be gemstones in people's stomachs and stuff. They're not going to be gemstones which people just straight up wear in front of you and pretend it's a fake stone, right? Because you're going to take that off and you're going to stick it in the security tray. You're going to go through the scanner, nothing on you. You get your expensive, fake-looking gemstone back, and you travel to the country you chose. And I guess the final thing is this little last sentence here, and that's what I'm going to leave you with. Is the problem too far away? Because we care for little things right here. We care for which words people use when they talk to us, or how somebody phrased the title of some movie, or how organic is some food when they say it's organic, but it wasn't completely organic, so we make a big deal out of it. Not as big deal as kids dying mining gemstones, right? So is the problem too far away, and are the gemstones too pretty for us just not to care? And that is me. Thank you very much. I'll stop talking now. Hopefully somebody else will.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much for that. I hope that